Okay, today we're going to do a video on how to change a water pump on a 2002 Ford Taurus. Right now I have pictures of the new gasket that comes with the water pump. And here is the actual water pump, as you can see. That's what we're going to be putting in. That's the front of it. Here's actually the part that goes inside the engine, so you can kind of see. Basically what happens is the belt drives the water pump, and these impellers that you see around here, that is what pumps the water through the system. Over here is the car. It's a 2002 Ford Taurus, like I said. It's got the 3.0 liter V6 motor in it. And in a little while, I know you can't see it right now, but under all this stuff, there is a water pump. We will get to it. We will replace it. The problem is it started off 3 days ago where it was making a loud rattling noise, and within a day or two later, it started severely leaking out water out of what is called the weep hole. So it's definitely time to change. As you can see over here, there's a puddle of water that's pouring out of it. But what we're going to do is we're going to get to it, change it, install a new one, and we should be good to go. So what we got to do now, first thing we got to do is we got to let this car cool down. I had no choice but to go get the the water pump. And of course the car is at full temperature. It's leaked pretty much all the water out of the reservoir here, as you can see. I don't know if you can see that well or not, but there's pretty much no more water in there. Just the car didn't run hot on the way home, so I'm good as far as that goes. So now what we got to do is let this engine cool down. I let it cool down approximately an hour. It's about 60 degrees out here where I'm at, and if you guys, you can see, beautiful day to actually do this task. We'll be back. Okay, the first thing I want to show you before we start any kind of repair on the car, as far as we're replacing the water pump on this, I wanted to go ahead and remove the negative cable from the battery. The reason we're doing that is because we're going to actually have to remove the alternator when we do this. And anytime you got part of the electrical system exposed, it's always a good habit to go ahead and remove the negative cable from the battery. Okay, so now that the engine's cool enough that we can work on this thing, and we already have the ground off the battery terminal, as you can see, the first step that we have to do is we have to remove this here, which is your coolant reservoir. And to do that, we're going to have to remove this hose, and I don't know if you can quite see, but straight down here is a bolt. There's also another one right here. We're going to remove those, and that'll get the reservoir out the way. We have to do that in order to get the alternator out, and it also provides us some additional space. Now that we have the reservoir out the way, my next step that I like to do, I guess it depends on how you wish to do this, but I want to go ahead and remove this belt because there's some other apparatus besides the alternator we need to get rid of. So I'm going to take this belt off, and the way we do that is this bolt right here. It's called a tensioner. What we have to do is we have to turn it clockwise, put pressure on it, and turn it clockwise, and the belt will become loose. That's how you loosen the tensioner. So let's go ahead and do that. There's several ways you can do it. One thing for sure is you don't want to strip that bolt there, because that's not a good thing at all. You'd have to probably replace your tensioner and all. But go ahead and You can go down to the AutoZone or Advanced Auto in any of those places, and they do have a tool that is called a tension belt remover or serpentine belt remover tool. They'll let you rent it for the day, or you pay a down payment or a deposit, and then as soon as you get done, take it back. They usually refund your money and everything's good. So let's go ahead. We'll be back as soon as we remove this belt. Okay, one last thing I need to tell you before we actually take this belt off is the water pump pulley right here. There's 4 bolts. We need to go ahead and remove that before we actually take the belt off. If we don't, you're going to play hell trying to get it off. So go ahead and do that. And we'll be right back. Now that we have the pulley bolts loose and the belt off, the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and take this alternator off, and we're going to go ahead and remove this engine bracket. As soon as we're done with that, we'll be right back. Before I forget to tell you, before you take this alternator off, there's a connector right here. It's a little Molex type connector. Go ahead and take that one off. You don't necessarily have to take the positive one off, because we're just going to lean the alternator off to the side. So I just wanted to let you know that. And to remove this alternator, there's going to be a bolt right here, and there's going to also be a bolt underneath it. Like I said, we're going to remove these as well. And as soon as we get done with that, we'll be right back. Okay, now that we have the engine brackets and all that, engine mount and bracket and all that removed, our next step is to remove this pulley right here. It's called an idler pulley. And as soon as we remove that, we'll be right back. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is we got this pulley that's still on here. Remember, we loosened the bolt, so we're going to go ahead and take this off. Next, we're going to go ahead and take the water hose off that goes to the water pump. And below it, underneath, I don't know if you can see it, if there's enough light, but we got to remove a connector. That connector goes to the crankshaft position sensor. We're going to remove that. And then one other bolt, or one other little bracket we're going to try to move, or just move out the way. It's right here. From there it goes to your looks like to your either air conditioner or to the, yeah, it looks like the air conditioner mounting bracket, possibly, or the bottom of the power steering pump. I can't really tell where it's going to at this moment, but we're going to go ahead and get that bracket out the way. Then we should be able to remove the water pump. So as soon as I get all this stuff out the way, I'll be right back. Okay, now that we have all the brackets, sensor unplugged, and everything else that we need, the last thing left now is the water pump. We got that bracket taken off over there that's hooked to the water pump to, it appears, to the air conditioning bracket. That bracket's off. The sensor's taken off, unplugged. Got the wire up here. Got the water hose off, and as you can see, it's pretty well rusted out. There's a lot of play in this old water pump, and you can hear it grinding. It's amazing it even worked. And here's the little, I don't know if you can see it, but right here where my finger is, it's called a weep hole, and that's where the water was poured out of it. So we'll be right back as soon as we get the water pump off. Try this again. This is the side that's on the inside of the motor, of the fuel pump. I mean, of the water pump. The problem with it is the impellers look good, but it's wiggling like this. That means the bearings are wore out. Also, we can see that it is pretty much rusted out. A lot of play and give. So the bearings are gone, and when that happens, your weep hole here and here starts leaking out water. At that point, the only thing you can do is replace it. So next step that we're going to do, since we got the water pump off, come back over here to the car. And where the water pump is, or was, what we have to do now is this whole area down in here where it was, we got to remove that gasket in its entirety. We got to be real careful on doing it that we don't scar it up. Once we do that, we'll put the new gasket on, and then we'll start reinstalling this thing. As soon as I get all that done, as far as the gasket cleaned up and all, we'll be back.